Hi, and welcome to another Pause and Reflect with Linda. So today I just thought I'd talk to you about sin. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but for years I always thought of sin almost like in a tier structure. Somebody who accepts €20 change instead of a €5 change because the cashier's made a mistake, rather than tell the cashier that they've made that error, pocket it and think of it as just a lucky day for them. Well, that's not really sin, is it? That's just good luck. And certainly wouldn't put me in the same category as maybe somebody who had taken somebody else's life. I really struggled when I started going to church and learnt that that's not how God sees sin, and that actually sin is sin, whatever it is, whether it's in thought, in your word, or in your deed, in your actions. And it took me years to get my head around it, absolutely years. But then if you flip sin on its head, it made me realise why. Because, of course, when we think about the result and the consequences of sin, it all adds up to the same thing. If you are having bad thoughts, sinful thoughts about something, whether it's about a particular person that you have got bad thoughts about, or a situation, actually what that tends to do is it darkens our hearts, doesn't it? When we experience, and I'm sure we've all experienced in life, haven't we, those people that you sometimes come across, and we talk about them sort of sucking the energy out of a room because all they ever do is complain and moan and have negative thoughts. But when we have those sinful negative thoughts ourselves, it chips away at the light inside us. And so the reality is that actually it is hurting ourselves. And then we think about sinful words. There's that old saying, isn't there? Certainly at school I used to hear from my parents, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, we know that that's absolutely a load of rubbish. Words can be seriously upsetting and very painful and hurtful to those that are receiving them. And then there's, of course, the sinful deed. Now, whether that is accepting change from somebody, knowing that it's the wrong amount and that actually they're going to be shortchanged at the end of the day, or whether it is taking somebody's life. The people that are the victims of those things will suffer pain. And so when we think of sin in that way, that actually the result of sin is pain, whether it's either hurting yourself or whether it's hurting those around you. Why would a God who is a God of love want any of us to go through that pain? And then I understood why, as far as God is concerned, sin is sin is sin. Whatever it is that you are doing, if it is hurting you, if it is hurting others around you, it's not what he wants for us. He wants us to live with a life that is full of love, and within that to have the best life possible because of that love. And of course, if we have got sin in our lives, then that is hard to have that love. But the great news is that actually none of us are perfect, and we know that. And it doesn't matter that we're not perfect. What matters to God is that we try. If any of you have read the Bible or you've watched any of the biblical movies on TV, you may well remember the scene where Jesus is being crucified and there are two other crosses, one either side of him. And those people had committed serious crimes. And yet Jesus forgave them whilst they were there crucified next to him. Jesus knows what's in our hearts. And if our hearts are sorry and want to do better, he understands that and he moves on. So whatever it is that you may do or say or have acted, you're no better or worse than the other person who has sinned. We are all equal in our sin, but we are all equally forgiven through Jesus by asking for forgiveness and just doing our best to try better next time. So if you're feeling weighed down with thoughts that have been sinful, then please just remember that we are all sinners. None of us are perfect, but we do have the opportunity to say sorry and to try better. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.